Hi guys, welcome every one of you guys.
The outbreak of COVID-19 changed the world and unsettled our economy. As we adapt to this unprecedented reality and start the journey towards recovery, the African Economic Congress invites you to a televised and virtual event that will bring together innovative leaders from all sectors of the African economy. It will be a platform where sustainable solutions that enhance the African economy will be discussed. Themed, Accelerate Africa, Building Back Better. Date, November 1 to 3rd, 2021. For sponsorship or further inquiries, contact us at events@aecongress.org or call us at +234 906 691 2600 or +234 907 370 3649. To attend, register at www.aecongress.org. Join us as we take the first step towards strengthening the African economy to create the Africa we want.
Hi guys, welcome every single one of you to the live broadcast, the African Economic Congress 2021 pre-event show. In this pre-event show, our goal really is to come together as citizens of Africa to discuss some of the things plaguing us, our shared concerns. So we're going to be having some speakers come on, but everyone has been given a stage today. So if you're an African, if you have a shared concern, a challenge that you know tugs at your heart, today is the day to join in and make your voice heard, make your opinion count. So right before we dive in, I would like to share a little bit about why we have the African Economic Congress. Why Accelerate Africa? Why Building Back Better? Why now? So start with African Economic Congress started in 2019, and it started with a big bang to help organizations. It's a Pan-African organization that is focused on public-private participation, and it ensures that with cooperation, we are able to drive sustainable growth and development in Africa. It also helps support the work of improving Africa's positioning in the global economy. We at African Economic Congress encourage public-private interactions so that we can create better policies, new opportunities in the diverse sectors of the African economy. Our goal is to enhance decision-making at the international level that will improve the quality of life for the African people. Okay, so that is a little bit of the African Economic Congress. What I want you to think about the African Economic Congress in this regard. You've heard of the World Economic Congress, but this African Economic Congress is actually the World Economic Congress with a beautiful spin on it, and a beautiful spin in the sense that the African Economic Congress brings together top leaders, top African leaders in the same room with their citizens, to be able to discuss, dialogue, and project a way forward for Africa. It also is built on this context that we cannot begin to always outsource our survival and our future into the hands of other people. It is built on that framework that if Africans can come together, we have problems going on in Egypt, problems going on in Nigeria. If we can come together and share collectively the solutions that could be working for us, we might have a long way to learn from each other and also use that to craft solutions that are African-centric so that we can avoid this continuous dependence on a whole lot of the West for solutions that are Africans' problems, solutions to Africans' problems. So I have speakers already on ground waiting to be part of the stream. I want to welcome you all. I can see ID Titus in the guest titles. Thank you for joining us. I can see Abraham. Thank you for joining us. I can also see Gospel Josiah. Thank you guys for joining us. So with a little bit, let's have a little bit chat here. So Gospel Josiah, I'm going to be bringing you on. Let's just have a chat about what your thoughts are when you think about Africa. What makes you excited to really be African? Okay. Hi, Gospel. You're live now.
Hi, Ifoma. Good
How
afternoon.
you doing today?
I can see that.
How you
I'm
doing
fine,
today?
thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, I'm well. So good to have you. Right before
I'm
we
doing
dive
great.
into, okay, right before we dive into, African challenges and solutions, what makes you, excited to be African? What makes you excited to be
Well,
African?
being an African is a great privilege.
Mhm.
Um, Over time, the whole world have come to realize that Africa is a great. I've read several times, oh, even the World Bank, how Africa as one of the power source in the coming years in the world. So being an African is actually it's an honor because there are a lot of things that we have access to.
Okay, thank you, Josiah. But if I was going to ask you again, what specific thing are you super excited about when it comes to being African and the challenges we faced as a people and the solutions you think are right beneath our noses? Josiah, are you still with me? I think his network has frozen. So, Abraham, I'm going to come to you. So, Abraham, how are you doing today? Abraham, you have the stage. How are you doing today? How are you doing, Abraham? He can hear me too. I'm going to come to you, Chioma. How are you doing today, Chioma?
I'm
Good to
very
have
fine,
you.
thank you, Miss Ifoma.
Okay. So tell me, I asked the Josiah what excites him about being African. What's your take on that? What's your own thoughts?
Mean me?
Yes, what excites you about being African? When, the food, the people, what is it that makes you proud to be African?
To be honest, when we consider the economic and present situations and even past situations in Africa, it is quite difficult to find things to be proud of, isn't it? Because Africa does have a way
Absolutely.
of making life unnecessarily difficult for you. But even though it's still, we'll still find somehow, because for me I guess it's our unique, the way that we're unique people, and then the people, our whole cultural experiences, our attachments to family, and our food. But most of all, for me, it's our resilience. In spite of everything that we go through, in spite of the fact that our country, our continent is not the best that it should be, we still keep going and we keep achieving things both home and abroad. So for me, that's just like so inspiring. That's what I would say I love most about the continent.
And that's, yeah, like you said, so inspiring because I was just about to say, in the midst of the doom and gloom, there's still something to celebrate because I think we are a very resilient people in our very nature to not have the best, but still, keep going and hoping for better. Okay. So having said that, like you said, we have a lot of issues. So I would like to dive right in now into what you have, to share about that. But before that, I would like to share a little bit about who you are. So tell me a little bit about who you are in your own words.
Okay, I'm Choma Umowachuku.
Okay.
I am the founder of Lagos Fashion Girl. It's a fashion and lifestyle brand based here in Lagos, and also the Afrobeats FM. It's an Afrobeats, a radio style Afrobeat station based on Twitter. So I'm basically a writer and social media influencer, if you like. Thank
Okay,
you for having me
amazing.
today, by the way.
Oh, you're so welcome. So today, your what talks at your heart is corruption and poor economic development in Africa, and you would like to speak on examining the roles played by the continent's leaders and its people. So, really, tell me, what is this tugging on your heart about corruption?
Okay. So for me, the inspiration to speak about this was just sitting down and realizing that yes, our leaders are to blame, and this is not me taking away or minimizing the roles and the role played by our leaders in where we are today, both past and present. Where we are today with our leaders, we know that we haven't been blessed with the best leaders. Like I said before, we're quite blessed. We're a blessed continent, but when it comes to leaders, we haven't been so lucky, have we? So yes, we our leaders are quite, they're not a lot to write home about. But today I want us to sit down and really examine inwardly, because for me, leaders are people, right? Or people become leaders. Because it's easy for you to sit down and say, oh, our leaders are at fault, our leaders are this, our leaders are that, and you're not thinking about what you are doing. Because at some point, we are leaders in various capacities, big or small. But when you think about the leadership problems in Africa, you're not thinking about yourself. Okay, if for example you're a teacher, you don't see yourself as a leader, you think it has to be the president, that's the president's job, or the governor's job, or our councillor's job. So today I wanted to examine what we are doing by ourselves, and just not forget about our leaders for a minute, but examine ourselves too. Point the finger to ourselves and see what we are doing to cause this and what we can do, how we can help. So I just want to share a few statistics with you guys. I'm not going to bore you, I promise. I'm just going to be as short as possible.
Okay, right before you delve into the statistics, I was going to ask, people could say that we have a chicken and egg problem when it comes to leadership and followership, because the leaders come from the followers, right? So what do you say if we have bad leaders, but the leaders are coming from the bad followers, making the bad leaders, then inspiring followers to be bad, coming out again to be bad leaders? You know, it's a cyclical migraine, so to speak. All right. What do you say? How do we solve that chicken and egg problem with good leadership and good followership?
Okay. So thank you for that question. Now I want to point out something. Have you noticed how everyone seems to have the solution to, let's say, Nigeria's problems until they're in that position themselves? So is it that they're good people, but then when they become leaders, something happens? They switch. They're no longer good. So I feel like this could be you could start from even before you get there and realize that, oh, this is what I can do. The little steps that you take, the little changes that you make in your life, for example, choosing not to litter, choosing not to defecate in public, choosing not to misuse public, infrastructure. Those are little things that even before you get to a position of leadership, recognized leadership, you could make changes on your own in small little ways. I hope that answers your question.
It totally does. It totally does, I must tell you. So let's dive right into your statistics if you have that one now.
Okay. So just across while researching this topic, it got really interesting. And most times when we talk, first of all, I want to tackle the causes of corruption. Because when you talk about Africa's problems, I feel like you could basically sum it up as corruption. Okay. So I just found a few, most experts believe or agree that these are some of the major causes of where Africa is today. There's colonialism.
Okay.
Yeah, even though we hate it, but we cannot even deny the fact that that has a big role to play. And of course, people say, oh, it's time for us to stop blaming colonialism. That is true. We should stop it, and it's time that we stopped it. But that did a lot of damage. It did a number on us. And yeah, we could still bring it up once in a while, because then I feel like colonialism then spills into ethnic conflicts. Because when you look at it, a lot of the countries in Africa what word should I use? Were coupled up by the colonialists during the Berlin conflicts.
But let me jump right in. It's not all countries that were colonized. majorly the West
Yes,
was colonized. Not
yes, yes.
well, why are we having systematic underdevelopment, so to speak, compared to the non-African continent across Africa, if
You're
not
right.
every one of us was colonized?
You're right. Ethiopia wasn't colonized, and I think like what Ethiopia though was not colonized. And a lot of countries were colonized, like Korea, were colonized by the Japanese, and are doing better
And
today.
they are
Of
doing
course,
well, aren't they?
and we should do, yeah. So that's why I say we are not actually off the hook, because we like to mention colonialism and then sit back. No, that's not an excuse really, but we can still be excused for bringing it up, because like I said, colonialism gave birth to different issues that are now unique to us. Maybe not completely unique, but certainly makes life a little more difficult for us. So some of those include overpopulation. There are a lot of us in this continent of ours, and that is a big problem. And then we have geographic problems and climate. Sometimes the climate in Africa is not exactly favorable. We have international policies, both the ones that we have put up for ourselves and the ones that we have been forced to put up by organizations like the IMF, which haven't been so helpful to us in the past. We've had wars, and some of these wars have definitely been because, like I was going to say before, colonialism brought countries or ethnic groups who weren't exactly similar or didn't have a lot in common together. And when you put people together against their will, it takes a lot for it to work. Okay, people of different religions and ethnic backgrounds, and then inequality. So these are some of the problems that some of the issues that have contributed to where we are as a people, right? So then also I wanted to look at countries
Okay,
who have
I have a quick question, right? I have a quick question, Choma. Let me just pause you and let's kind of shift gears right now because I see a lot of times that we Africans, we know how to play the blame game. We can easily say, oh, this is the reason for our problems without looking within. Okay, so I want us to shift gears and begin to talk solutions. Let's talk solutions.
Yeah, I was going to talk about countries who have gotten it right. So,
Awesome.
according to the, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so according to Business Insider, these are the countries that have gotten it right when it comes to fighting corruption. Unfortunately, there are no African countries on the list. That was so disappointing. So some of these are Denmark, Singapore, Switzerland, New Zealand, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Japan, and Luxembourg. And they have done this usually with a combination of strict government policies against corruption and economic fraud and tough crackdowns. They've cracked down on them severely. And also a combination of accountability on the.
Okay, I seem to have lost Choma for a second.
Citizens.
Okay. Go ahead, Choma. You were frozen for a second, but you can go right ahead.
Yeah, so these are policies that I feel like we could adopt on the government level. But my favorite part to speak of is what the citizens can do. Like I said, so with citizens, what we can do is to raise better leaders. And I say raise because we need to start from the grassroots, as young as possible. And okay, before I go to that, what? Okay, yes. We can do that by holding leaders accountable, just like what the other countries have used. Holding leaders accountable, citizen reporting. When you see something, you say something. And then, let me go back to holding leaders accountable. It has not always worked, to be honest. Sometimes we've held leaders accountable, we have talked, and nothing happens. And that's the problem right there. Because when nothing happens, we relax. We get discouraged, which is understandable. If something is not working, you would get discouraged. But it's important that we don't. And we keep insisting that, oh no, this person has done something wrong. They need to pay for it. So we have to develop tech solutions. We have social media and use it to amplify our voices against corruption and also raise awareness. This is not good. This is not right. I'll tell you a story. The other day I was on a BRT. Yeah, I was on a BRT I was going to, where was I? Going to Oshodi. So this bus, it was 350. Do you live in Lagos?
I do, yeah. But
Okay.
I'm not in Lagos right now, but I do.
Those who don't know. So there's a card. You have a card, and then you load money in it. Just the way you load money on your, I don't know, maybe it's hard money, sha. So you tap in when you get in the bus, and the money is deducted. The fare is deducted. So if, for example, you're stopping halfway, you're getting off halfway on the bus, you could tap out and get refunded half or whatever back. So what some people do is, first of all, some people don't tap in, so they don't get charged. Or what they do is they tap out halfway through the journey and sit back and don't get off the bus. So you end up not paying anything. So the other day I was on this bus and something interesting happened. Someone did that. And one man was like, why did you tap out when you're not coming down? And I tell you that day I was so happy. Because everyone was like, no, you're not allowed to do this. This is not like, you can't do this. And it was funny, but these are things that we love to see. So these are the things that we can start with. Okay, it's easy to just it's not my money. It's not the money is not going inside. What is my own? But and then I did not say anything. I'm so ashamed because I was not well that day. But I was enjoying it and I was happy.
But you were excited that someone spoke up and created that change.
No, I didn't see him. Do it. Okay. I did not see him do it. That's it. I did what that man did. And yes, you have made a good point. Oh, someone will speak up. I don't have to speak up. Sometimes you think that way. Someone will speak up. You throw the response. I don't know what that is. Passerby effect is called. When we think that someone will help or someone will do something, and then we just go away.
Yes.
So that guy spoke up, and in the end, the other guy apologized. And it was a whole lot of wahala on the bus, and that is one of the things that we can start to do to raise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me come in, Chioma. You spoke wonderfully, especially looking into issues that has to do with, I think, a mindset change. That is what we need right now. We need a complete mindset change, totally from the norm. I do know that the Black Americans who were, the Black Americans, they are beginning to tell themselves to have a program called decolonization, where they begin to, intentionally remove from themselves the mindset and the thought processes that they got as a result of being taken into slavery. That is, as a result of their ancestors who came from us, by the way, being taken into slavery. I also think that we need an inverse of that in Africa, especially in the countries that were colonized, where we have a decolonization program to begin to rid ourselves of this idea that we can always, go to the West for solutions, or we can always blame it on someone. There is always a way out. We need to fix ourselves by first looking within and reprogramming our mindsets even as a people before we even begin to talk about leadership. So I want to thank you, Chioma, so much for this insightful things you've said about corruption. So if you're just joining us, we had Chioma. Chioma spoke about corruption and poor economic development in Africa. She tried to examine the roles played by the continent's leaders and its people. Chioma Ugo Nwachukwu, as she's fondly called, is an actress, writer, presenter, and social media influencer. She's the founder of Lagos Fashion, and she's also a founder of a lifestyle brand. Afrobeats FM is a radio station style Twitter page dedicated to all things Afrobeat. Chioma, that is interesting. Why just Afrobeats? Why not every other thing, every other genre?
It was difficult, but it's easy because Afrobeats is having such a moment right now. It's difficult not to get involved. They're making us so proud. I just had to jump in. I could not resist.
Are you kidding me? So you're part of the wagon because it's having a moment.
Yes, not a day goes by without one news or the other coming up of something that Fireboy, DML, or Davido, or Whiskey is doing. It's just difficult not to jump and be a part of it. And it's so exciting. I'm loving it. Please check it out if you can. I'm really
Oh,
loving it.
definitely. We shall check it out. So you're also a graduate of agriculture from Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, and you're passionate about the welfare of the African youth, about good governance and accountability on the continent. So you guys can find Chioma at Lagos Fashion Girl and at the Afrobeats FM on social media. So thank you, Chioma, for being so communicative and assertive, because you really spoke.
The outbreak of COVID-19 changed the world and unsettled our economy. As we adapt to this unprecedented reality and start the journey towards recovery, the African Economic Congress invites you to a televised and virtual event that will bring together innovative leaders from all sectors of the African economy. It will be a platform where sustainable solutions that enhance the African economy will be discussed. Themed, Accelerate Africa, Building Back Better. Date, November 1 to 3rd, 2021. For sponsorship or further inquiries, contact us at events@aecongress.org or call us at +234 906 691 2600 or +234 907 370 3649. To attend, register at www.aecongress.org. Join us as we take the first step towards strengthening the African economy to create the Africa we want.
Welcome back, guys. So apologies, we had a tiny little glitch I think I went off. Every other person was on. But we're back now. So right before we dive right to the next speaker, I'd like to have Josiah Gospel. So get ready. You're going to be joining me live soon. But before I have you, I want to quickly talk about African Economic Congress, which is coming up very, very soon. It's, I think, about 5 days away. So we're actually down to the wire. So this team, we're running with Accelerate Africa, building back better, and it starts November 1, 2001, and it runs through to November 3, 2001. Every day, morning sessions begins at 10 a.m. GMT +1, that is Nigerian time, and the evening sessions begin at 4 p.m. GMT +1, also Nigerian time. So if you're not yet registered, I would ask you to head over to the website right now to, at aecongress.org to register. So Josiah Gospel, are you with me? Let's have you now. Can you hear me,
Hello,
Josiah?
good afternoon.
So Josiah, please tell me what went on. Was I the one who left, or what happened? Did everything shut down with the glitch?
No, you were still on. I think it was a network glitch from your end.
Okay. So let's move forward, Josiah. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging in. So right before, I had you before your network also glitched you out. So right before we dive right in, tell us a little bit of yourself, in your own words. Are you there, Josiah?
Basically, yes, I can hear you. I'm right here. I'm a graduate of the University of Benin. I studied communications, and so far I've been a PRO consultant, and I also am privileged to sit on the board of staffing of a few companies. I've been able to run 1 or 2 courses in human psychology to be able to get a better understanding of things in perspective, basically. And right now I do some content writing. So
Okay.
that's where you find me and look for me.
Oh, Josiah, your network is kind of slowing you down. I think I can, hearing you has some delay right now. Hearing you has some delay. So let's see if we can make it. So if you listened in when we had Shoma on board, she's so passionate about accountability, starting with the people. What would you say is your passion for, Africa, for the continent? Can you hear me, Josiah?
I'm basically passionate about seeing African leaders because I can hear you loud and clear. So like I was saying, I'm basically passionate about African leaders getting it right. As much as the followers are part of the problem, it is quite easy to understand that the leaders determine how the followers move. The followers mostly follow after the steps of the leaders. I'm not going to take it away that there are some followers who don't follow well, but it mostly depends on how well and how right the leaders get it. So I'm really interested in seeing African leaders get to that point where it's not difficult for the followers to follow. Because the problem with the leadership and followership system is when the leaders don't get it right, the followers still would want to get it right. I've had scenarios and conversations where someone says, if the president can do this, who am I? You get. Now that's not a justification for wrong followership, but it all goes to show that the followers are watching the leaders. And if they don't get it right, it's every possible that the followers will follow in suit of their movements. So that's where my passion lies.
Okay, awesome. So let's dive right in now into your topic, Josh. So talk to me. What is that African shared concern that tugs at your heart? What is that African challenge
We're talking
that
about
talks at you, that you want to speak
economically
about, that you really
developing.
want to, go right in and prefer, solutions or discourse around it based on your experience and your expertise?
Oh yes, we're looking at economically developing Africa. Now we cannot talk about economically developing Africa without looking at the advantages Africa has available to her. All over the world, over the years, we have seen that Africa has been accepted as a rich continent that has the resources, both mineral and human resources, to become one of the top in the world. But so far, we have not been able to achieve this because of three things I would quickly like to point out.
Go
One
right
of them is
ahead.
the lack of vision from our leaders.
Go right ahead.
Number two is we have, okay, let me take that again. I'm going to mention three problems I've been able to observe. One of them is the lack of vision from our leaders. It's quite easy. And another one there is a terrible borrowing habits. In Africa, we have a very terrible borrowing habits. I know of African countries that borrow every year. Up to 50% of their annual budget is borrowed to fund budgets. And then we have excessive greed and absence of patriotism. If we look at those three things I just mentioned, we'll see that they are one of the issues, that are some of the issues that have held Africa back in terms of growing economically. A leader who doesn't have vision does not think about the next 5 years, the next 10 years. They're only concerned about they have to rule, the tenure they have to lead. A leader who has vision will see beyond now and try to look out for the future. And then we have terrible borrowing habits. How can you borrow up to 50% of your annual budget to run the country, and then in your plan for that year, you don't have any physical and actual plan that can actually take care of the money? There's no plan that from this money we borrow, we put this back into be able to service. You don't see that happen, and that's a problem because you're increasing and piling up debt that you will not be able to take care of. Then when we talk about patriotism, we're looking at people who understand what it is. People understand what it means to be people who both and serious patriotism.
Josiah, if you can hear me, your audio seems to be
In Africa. So when you look at
okay. Josiah, if you can hear me, your audio seems to be lagging. Okay, it seems to be lagging, and we seem to be having a poor network feedback from your audio. So I want to quickly ask a pertinent question here. I once had this very terrible, well, I won't call it terrible, but a very heated debate with one of Africa's top billionaires. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was insisting that borrowing is important, that all nations borrow, including America. I was of the opinion that they could be borrowing into a system that had already been optimized. I like to use the word optimized in the sense that when you borrow X amount of money, there is a good chance that 90% of that money is put into what it is used, it is planned for, what is productive, what will multiply it. But in our case, we have a system where we have endemic corruption. We have a system where we have a nonchalant attitude to leadership and accountability. We cannot go into that system because our own natural resources, the revenue we get there, nobody is accountable for that. Nobody is judiciously managing that. So on top of that, you lay debt over debt on top of that into a system that is not accountable. That was my side of the argument. So, and I think that that's what you're hinting on when you say we have this reckless attitude to borrowing into a system that is not productive. Is that what, if I got you right, is that what you're saying, Josiah?
Exactly. That's where I was coming from.
Okay, amazing. So let's go to the next one.
Like no sensible businessman borrows money.
Go on, Josiah.
All right.
Go on. No, you go on with your line of thought. You had something to say.
No sensible businessman. Yes, like I was saying, no sensible businessman would borrow a chunk of money to put into the business without a plan to pay back. Now, a businessman would borrow money for the business to grow. But in Africa, let me take an example from in our budget, in that chunk of the budget goes to recurrent expenditure. Now, a sensible businessman will, instead of borrowing to fund a recurrent expenditure, will first of all cut down that expenditure and see how the business can work before you go to borrow. That's how it's supposed to be, because the idea of a business is not to live on borrowing. The idea of a business is to profit. So the more you keep borrowing, the more you borrow money without it bringing back returns, is the more you plunge the business down. So my point is, if you're going to regulate like your conduct, but you have a workable system that can pay back the money you have borrowed, and you don't plunge further into owing.
Absolutely.
So basically, that's how it works. That's how any sensible system is supposed to work. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you said you had 3 points, Josiah. So let's go to the next. Let's go to the next. Can you hear me, Josiah? Okay, I think his network has frozen. So
yes, I
okay, you said you had 3 points. Reckless debt is one of them, which we've discussed. What's the next point?
The lack of vision from our leaders.
Okay. But they would argue with you that they have the best intentions. On the campaign, campaign grounds, they will tell you they have the most wonderful intentions. They have the best manifestos, as they say. So how would you argue that?
Okay, it's quite simple. There's a difference between having a good intention and actually following it through. Like I said, there's lack of vision. When we talk of vision, we are talking of looking at beyond you, beyond now. So it's not you telling me, oh, there's a lot, I have a lot to offer you. I'm not interested in what you have to say.
Okay.
It's what you have to do. What we actually have in Africa is we have of leaders who tend to have a lot of theories on how things should work. There is a whole lot of theories. If you want to check it, every African leader's theory is absolutely perfect. Then when it comes to the practice, then we see something totally different. Like the previous guest before saying, we have people who have the problem where we get to do something totally different. So that's the point now. It's not about having the best intention. It's about seeing it through. We need leaders who have visions, who understand that it is not just now, it is not just about now. Most of them, their focus is on the 4 years, the 8 years, or the period they have to rule. And after then, it's over. That's why we have a problem of continuity. People don't think we don't have once one government is the next government that comes do something different. That is a show of absence of vision. So that's how it basically is. Thank you.
Alrighty. Would you blame this solely on the leaders? Because a leader does not work in its own capacity. I think the idea of leadership is misconstrued in many cases. A leader works in the capacity of the people on his team. I usually say this: you are only a good leader as you are only as strong as a leader as the weakest person on your team. I would say it again. You are only as strong as a leader as the weakest person on your team. So a leader needs to does not do the work themselves. They get people to do the work. But if they have these visions, these ideals, and they send people out there, go do it, but it's not translating to results, will you not blame a leader that is visionless?
Okay, thank you for that point. Now let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. Right now we are here for the pre-event of the AEC. There's a leader that carried this vision. And the only reason we are here today and making this happen is because the leader is trying to see each through. Leader, we can say a leader is fully functional, doesn't see things through. The point is a leader and can have many people working with her. The ability of the leader to push these people is not at this moment now. A leader who does not have the ability to push even weakest is probably not fit to be a leader. That's why we see a lot of scenarios where leaders are asked to resign. Sometimes the fault is not really from them because it's obvious, but because they're not following the process through. A leader cannot assign an assignment and sit down and expect it to get done. Using the AEC as I use as an example, if the leader is there now, because everybody would probably want to sit back and relax and say, okay, as a leader, the person could probably do it. The leader is making sure that is what a true leader is supposed to do. Every team must have someone who is weak, whether you like it or not. There is that person that is weak. But a group leader try everyone. Because when it goes, no one will want to point at the weak points. Because nobody puts the weak points there. It is the leader we put there. And it is the leader's responsibility to ensure that even the weak amongst his team is carried along. So at this point, I will give it to the leaders and I'll keep pushing it to them because the sole responsibility is when leaders are elected, their team is not elected. They are the ones elected. They pick the team. So if they pick someone who is not able to carry through and they are not able to push that person to come through, the onus of all is on them. So the leaders still should be blamed when many things go wrong because it is really about them making sure that the members of the team they have assembled are working in synchrony. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Josiah. Thank you so much. I love the fact that even when it seems like it's all doom and gloom, there is always a solution that if we can begin to execute now, to implement now, it's going to be, beautiful skies and fairy days for Africa going forward. So I would like to ask for your last point, because you said three things. And what's the last point, Josiah?
Excessive greed and absence of patriotism.
Okay. Go on. Why greed and absence of patriotism?
Yes. Now, talking about let's talk about the absence of patriotism because this solely is more on the side of followers. Because I feel if you check other countries without Africa and you check the system, you see that people are very patriotic. You see that the people love their country. The people love everything about their country, so they give their all. There was a time I was in a situation with from without the country, and we were having a conversation, and I mentioned something, and the person now this thing is a fact and it's bad, but the person said I shouldn't say that about their country, and I was like, he said you can justify one aspect of the country, you cannot use one aspect of the country to justify the entire country. And at that moment, I thought about my beautiful Nigeria and Africa as a whole. We are not patriotic because we don't really understand what it means to stand for your country. That is one point that is really, really important and we need to understand. We don't really know what it means to love your country. We don't really know what it means to appreciate where you are from. At every given moment, we want to castigate our country, we want to castigate our continent, we want to say sorts of things about Africa. And most times when we talk about these things, we forget about the good parts too. Africa has a good parts. If not, if you check about Africans outside Africa, you see that they are doing absolutely well. Just around March this year, I can't really place it. I learned the Queen of England gave some awards to two Africans for their immense contribution to the British Kingdom. So that's to show you that Africans and Africa, it's actually an exceptional place. But we have not really come to that point where we appreciate Africa for what Africa truly is. So that makes us not really patronize the country and the continent as we should do. Now, I've heard African leaders in several international meetings talk down on Africa. That is not an act of patriotism. If looked at from a technical angle, that is an act of I don't know the right word to use right now, but it is disheartening for an African leader to talk bad about Africa in an international setting. Patriotism demands that we stand for the country. Patriotism demands that we support the country. Patriotism demands that we stand for what is right at all times, not what favors us, not what favors someone we know, but what favors the general good of the country. That is what patriotism demands of us. So I feel that the absence of patriotism in Africa, basically on the side of followers and even leaders, is one of the reasons we are where we are right now. And then when we talk of excessive greed, it starts from the bottom to the top, from our leaders down to the followers. I don't want to delve into corruption now. It's already an overflowed matter. But what we're talking about right here is the fact that we have people who put only their interests first. If it does not favor them, they are not interested. If they are not profiting, they are not interested. So when we are talking about, sometimes when we talk about leadership, we see people who they are going there for their personal interest. When we talk about the situation, like there was a time a state government in Nigeria called some of us for we went for then there were some issues that were discussed, and I discovered that 80% of all of us gathered there were talking about what will benefit them in one way or the other. Because after this import, there was supposed to be some contracts and some things that were supposed to go around. Everybody was talking in a way that it will benefit them, and I was just smiling. And I told myself, nobody who wants the good of a country, who wants the good of a situation, who wants the good of a place, will look out for just themselves. Because at that point, you are looking at just yourself. You are not looking at the
Okay. Hello,
excessive greed,
Josiah.
especially from down to the followers. I can hear you
Okay,
clearly.
good, good. I couldn't hear you for a bit. So you were wrapping up and saying,
Yes, I was saying that the issue of patriotism is one that we have to look out, because both from leaders and to followers, very low.
Okay,
I think we don't even understand the concept of patriotism yet.
okay.
Because I
I'm
believe if
gonna
we
cut.
do
I'm
understand the
gonna
concept of
let me cut
patriotism,
in. Let me cut in, Josiah, and play the devil's advocate. What is the meter to measure patriotism? Really, is it being heroic for your nation? What is that patriotic meter that we can use to gauge patriotism? Did you hear me, Josiah? Josiah, are you there? Okay. For some reason, he is frozen right now. For some reason, Josiah is frozen right now. So, Heidi, I'm going to be bringing you live on the stream now. So, stand by. Josiah, if we can have you come back to the stream, that would be so awesome. So, Heidi, stand by. We've been speaking to Josiah. Josiah Gospel is his full name, as he's a PR consultant with a decade of experience in branding, content writing, and social media marketing. Josiah has wrote a book called Threaded Tales and privately consults for both mid-level and top-level brands. He also sits on staffing boards for some organizations. Josiah has a passion to see Africa achieve its full potential within the continent. So we've been having these individual desires and sharing them on this live stream on how we want Africa to grow, to improve, to be greater, stronger, more resilient. But what I know is this: we can't put the responsibility only on the leaders. And that is why African Economic Congress has taken this today to host this live stream. This live stream is really about we, the Africans, we, the citizens, about we sharing our own thoughts, our own ideals as regards, the growth of Africa. Today is our stage. So, Heidi, I was going to have you, but I don't seem to have you anymore. But okay, you're back. So, Heidi, I'm going to have you now. So, I'm going to unmute you, and you're going to join us now. So, Heidi, you're live. How are you doing today? Good to have you here.
I'm very well.
So, I want to just ask you to get a quick feel of the conversations. Have you been, gleaning something? Has it been exciting hearing from other people?
Yes, though network is kind of disturbing, but so far so good. They've been good.
Okay, awesome. So, Heidi, talk to me in your own words about yourself. Share a little bit of yourself in your own words.
All right. I'm a customer service representative. I've had over 4 years experience in customer service. I am very passionate to solve problems. I am an excellent ambassador for any company I find myself. Yes, and I am a very great communicator.
I think that's the first time I've heard someone call themselves an excellent ambassador. I haven't heard that. That's the first. You deserve an award for that. An excellent ambassador. Wouldn't that be ideal if every one of us carry a tag, or something on top of our breast, I'm an excellent ambassador. So you can only expect excellence from this. That is pretty amazing. So Heidi, you have something that interests you about Africa that you want to share today. All right. What's that thing? But before we go into that, what makes you excited to be African? Why do you love being African?
Oh, okay. I love Africa. I just like them. Okay, because they are strong people. They are very strong people, and being strong. That's why most of the time, white they try to make us work harder. Like I'm saying this from experience based on where I worked before. I worked in an Indian company before, where you see them want to see us work. We have this impression with them. We have this. We are very strong people. So all the time they want to see us work because they know we have this.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Josiah, if you can tag Josiah back, a few comments are coming in for him right now based on the things he said, so we can have him answer those questions when he comes right in. So let's dive right into your topic, Heidi. So talk to me. What is that passion? What about Africa that you really want to see fixed, changed?
It's about this COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, the
Okay,
COVID-19
and its effects, right?
effect it has created in the society so far. So I would really want to see that being number one.
Okay, go right ahead, Heidi. Talk to us.
Yes, the COVID-19 news is no longer any new thing for anyone. We had COVID-19 pandemic and we are used to it by now. But I want to talk about the effect it has created in our society. The global effect it has disrupted the society badly. Yes, the outbreak came on the 8th of December 2019. That was in China, and afterward, I think Africa recorded the first case of COVID-19 on the 14th of February 2020, and since then, other African countries have recorded cases of the COVID-19. But I really don't want to talk about the history of the COVID-19, but its effects on the economy and how to cope with the effects. Yes, it has severely affected our society financially. Its rise in unemployment has affected the manufacturing company, tourism, transportation service, there is reduction in commodity trade, and so on and so forth. Yes, I really want to talk about how the COVID-19 effect deteriorated consumer and business sentiment. Yes, this is another channel through which the COVID-19 pandemic has affected economic activity. And according to a survey by AEC Insight, 7 African countries, consumer sentiment dropped toward COVID-19 concern, and that's a signal of reduction in consumer spending. This in turn will bring about or reflect lower uncertain demand business confidence, and this is going to cause declines in investment. The COVID-19 also affected mental health. The pandemic and its resulting economic recession have negatively affected young people's mental health and created new barriers for people already suffering from mental health. Another way it affected the society is tourism. Yes, tourism. Africa recorded, I think 75%, yes, I'm sure, not, I think 75% decline in international tourist arrivals, which fell from 70 million in 2019 to 18 million in 2020. That's a whole lot. And the data from International Civil Aviation Organization show that African airports experienced a record loss of trade. And there is also mentioned increasing and these exchange rates depreciations have pushed up local inflation. Yes, it has tightened monetary policy and financial tightening too. And let me quickly talk about racism in which
Okay, go ahead. And then I'll quickly ask a couple of questions.
all right, okay. The questions can come back.
Okay, good. Like you said, the COVID-19 has been with us for over a year. We are beginning to learn to live with it, as it were. But in what I would like to know is, not to belabor the point, shall we now begin to think beyond COVID-19. Because what COVID-19 did in certain ways is that it showed us that we are not resilient enough, because we began to look out for solutions from external sources. We could not look within. We had there is right now no COVID vaccine that has come from, Nigeria. It's even that's embarrassing. You understand? So, assuming we were left alone to ourselves, to deal with this situation, I keep asking, how would we have been able to manage if Nigeria was, or Africa was, the only continent that had to deal with this? So that says a lot on how prepared we are concerning every other matter. Because what COVID-19 did, was to tell us that we've not got it right in so many ways than one. But if I'm going to ask you one question, if any government, African government, could do one thing now to prepare against something like the next pandemic, like COVID, or any other, thing that might not even be predictable, what do you think they should do?
Okay, they should work on health facilities. Very health facilities. Train our health professionals. And you see a situation where people, when they are sick, they leave the country. They are sick, they prefer to get medical help outside the country. That is basically because we do not have enough equipment. We are not well equipped to handle the situation. So if the government should make provision for good health facility and professional
I have to jump in. Make provision for what? I can't seem to get that.
health facilities, good health,
Okay, health facilities.
good health facilities, and we have professional health workers. I think it's people are
Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so you're saying if any government can fix anything now, it is fix your health system, right?
Yes,
Fix your health
yes,
system.
they should start from, yes, training our health. We have good people. Like our doctors are making it outside the country. They are really doing from Nigeria. Yes, they are doing well. We have great doctors outside. Outside. But why not we have them in our country? Why not? What is that thing that is making them leave our country to other countries? What makes them think that they can do better than we cannot in Nigeria? So they should look at that one thing that will bring them back and then fix that particular thing. I think it's a long, long way to stop the COVID-19.
Amazing. Okay, so thank you so much, Heidi. Let me see if we have a few comments here. Is Josiah back? He has a couple of questions here. Anyway, someone says, well done. So keep another person says, well done. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. So we've been speaking with Heidi in Dogeset titles. I love to call her Heidi. She's a smart and motivated customer service representative with over 4 years experience in all aspects of customer service roles, with excellent communication skills gained through her educational system, training, and research. She has a knack for solving problems, and she's passionate about everything exceptional is for you. You're just about the exceptional, exceptional. She's an enthusiastic ambassador who is always eager to learn, eager to adopt new ideas and improve where necessary. So thank you, Heidi, for joining us today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So right before I go right into the next speaker, while I would have Sarah, James, Abraham, please stand by. You're coming on soon. So, but before I jump right in, I would like to let you know that the organization that has put this together is called the African Economic Congress. And the African Economic Congress is a Pan-African organization that has chosen to tread the path to want more for Africa. It is this. If we cannot do it individually, then as an institution, we should be able to adopt the change we want, to deliver the change and the transformation we want to see. And the African Economic Congress does this through its annual event that holds every year. It started in 2019. This is the third edition. It will go live once again on November 1 to November 3. And every day there is a morning session and an evening session. Morning session starts from 10 a.m. GMT plus 1, and evening session starts by 4 p.m. GMT plus 1. I do know that on your screen you can see how to register for African Economic Congress. Visit the website, and if you have questions, you can also leave it in the comment section. So, Abraham, is your audio all right? Or James, should I come to you? James, be ready. I think I'll come to you now. Abraham, do confirm to me if your audio is fine. All right. So, James, I'm going to have you now.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good to have you, James. Welcome
Good.
to the live show, the pre-event show. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, good. So I usually ask everyone this: what excites them about being African? What's your say? What do you say? What excites
Well,
you about being African?
well, the fact that I'm a youth, the fact that I'm young, it gives me so much excitement that I still have more than a couple of years ahead of me. I still have time to think, to innovate, to create, and to impact the society around me. So, what excites me mostly about being African is the fact that I am a youth and I constitute the majority of Africa's population.
Really? So what
Yeah.
happens when you are no longer a youth?
Oh, then the excitement will come from the things I've achieved.
I see.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, so tell me in your own words, what are you all about? Who is James Oluwole?
Um, my name is James Oluwale. I'm a graphic designer, IT specialist. I run a business called Heartshade Group of Company. It's an ICT solution company, and I'm also a media director at PERC. That's a Pathfinder Empowerment and Resource Center. That's an organization that stands for Change in Africa by empowering and equipping youths, adolescents with basic skills that they need to progress in life to impact their immediate environment and Africa at large. And that's basically what I do. So I can refer to myself as a youth activist because I love to see young people succeed. I love to see youths influence their environment. And that has been the cause of my work for the past 10 years.
Okay, that's pretty nice to know. So if I were to ask you now, um, what about your work has gotten you, pretty excited about seeing change in Africa, about what the AEC stands for?
All right, thank you. Working with PRC has been an eye opener for me because basically we deal with young people, young adults, and adolescents. And from our work so far with the projects that we conduct, we've been able to deduce that young people are actually the future of Africa. And I was really glad when I discovered that this coming AEC has a separate section just for youth empowerment, and that's what excites me about the AEC 2021 because this has been my line of work for the past couple of years, and that's what I'm looking forward to at the AEC Congress.
Alrighty, so let's dive right in. What talks at your heart about Africa? What's that challenge? What's that shared concern that you like to discuss today?
Youth empowerment. Youth
Alrighty.
empowerment. Now, this is not a new challenge. I'm sure if a conference other than AEC has been held from 10 years ago, they would still include youth empowerment as the topic they need to discuss. This means that is not something a problem that is facing Africa today. Now, the youth constitute about 60% of Africa's population. 60% of Africa's population are between under the ages of 25. You know what that means? That means Africa is the youngest continent on earth. All right. And what bothers me mostly is that this population, this large population, are the ones at the receiving end the most. They are the ones that are suffering the most. They are let me say, they are Africa's investment, so to say. But right now, the youth of Africa are either a ticking time bomb or a global opportunity. Depends on how Africa wants it. Now, when it comes to youth empowerment challenges, the first thing people dive right in is the issue of unemployment amongst youth. And I don't know about you, but I think that that topic, unemployment, has been overflowed, because if we conduct statistics, we'll discover that most people or most youths that are complaining of unemployment, we have, for every youth that complains about unemployment as an issue, we have corresponding companies that are complaining that there's a lack of competent candidates for jobs. I don't know if that makes sense. So we have youths complaining that there are no jobs. Then we have people that have created jobs complaining that there are no qualified or competent youths for this job. Let me drag us right back to 2012. It's 2012, yeah, 2012 in Senegal. There was an election that was supposed to take place in Senegal, which it took place actually. And in that election, it was the former president versus the opposing president, and allegedly there were youths that rioted against the current government, the current president there. And then there was riots. They took to the poll, they took ballot boxes, and in that riot, at least six people were killed, with many injured. Now, after that 2012, the president in seat was President Abdoulaye Wade in 2012. After the whole riot and everything, President Wade was eventually defeated, and then the current leader emerged. That was President Macky Sall. Now, when research was conducted about the event, everything that happened during that election, the key lesson from that Senegal election violence is that youth unemployment, which is just about 15% in that country, was the cause of the political fire and civil unrest, right? And then when that was conducted, when they interviewed the youths that were involved in the riots, about 40% of them claimed that those who joined the rebel movement, they said they were motivated by lack of jobs. Are you with me?
I am. I'm listening.
Yeah.
We're
They said they
going.
were
I'm listening to you.
okay. They said they were motivated by lack of jobs. Aware of this, the new government, that's President Macky Sall, he decided to confront the case of unemployment in many different ways in Senegal. So he launched a program in February 2013 to create about 30,000 jobs by the end of the year, and then possibly 300,000 jobs by 2017. Did that solve the problem? No. There is still an issue with the youth in Senegal till today. Now, that's just to point out that unemployment is not the problem as we look at it. Where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is because the challenges facing youth in Africa today, they are challenges that they are contemporary challenges, which means they require new approach to mitigate their effects. The problem is not that African youth are unemployed. The problem facing African youth is the fact that they are not yet developed. They were dealt a bad hand, which is not their fault. They are not yet fully developed to fully actualize their potential. You talk to
Let
an
me come
average
in. Let me come in, James.
yeah.
A few people, a circle of thoughts will disagree with you. Because
No.
when you say youth, we and you use the term with the youth, like African youth are not yet developed, it's almost like a slap in the face to those who have been able to, in spite of the challenges, the likes of the founders of Paystack, the likes of the founders of Floataway, the likes of the founders of startups from Egypt that are doing very well across the globe and all of that. We are all dealt almost the same hand. What would you say about that? If those same people can, take the opportunities within that their environment have provided them, and I'm talking about even you and I don't think we are, we will be categorized as youths that don't have hope, right? But we're also dealt the same hand. So how can some people who are faced with same challenges and same opportunities, how can some do well and then others, engage in violence, engage in all sorts of social, as they say, it's social nonsense.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad that you pointed that out because I was getting to that. Now, only a
Okay.
fraction of those number of people that you mentioned are actually succeeding. And if you research their upbringing, you discover that even though we were both dealt the same hand, along the line there was a paradigm shift. Something changed along the line. Call an average African youth. Now, this is not. I'm not attacking the African youth. No, I stand for the African youth. But I feel like we have not addressed the elephant in the room. As a matter of fact, we've not even brought out the elephant out of the closet. It's about time we tell ourselves the truth as African youth, and that is where I'm going tonight. Because if African youth are afraid of, oh, this is not the first time, they've been called lazy. African youth have been accused of so many things. So many things. They've been accused of being entitled. They've been accused of being narcissistic. They've been accused of being unfocused, self-interested, lazy. And lazy is the big one. But here's the thing. Let's have this analogy. Pick an average African youth, the millennial, and this is a millennial problem. People born within the age of from 1984 to 1996. Pick average of them and ask them, what do you want? Say we are talking to the African youth now. What can Africa as a continent, or what can your country do for you that would make you happy? Then you hear something like they want to work in a place with purpose, right? They want to make an impact, whatever that is to them. And they also like free Wi-Fi and free food. To them, if I get this, everything should be fine with me. And I'm telling you, put those people, these same people in that same condition, give them work, give them jobs, create jobs for them, give them jobs that help them create purpose according to them, give them free Wi-Fi and everything, and then go back in the next 2 to 3 months and check and ask them how is it going. We've actually put this to the test. Some of them will tell you, I think I'm going to quit. Why? Because they don't have the life coping skills to go through with everything. So, what's my point exactly? My point is that the problem is deeply rooted in the family system and the educational system. And this is where Africa is not paying attention to. We are trying to repair adults who have matured, but we're not going back to the grassroots. There are four major problems or four major factors that constitute to how Africa got here today with its youth. Whatever African youths are doing now, four problems, and I summarize them in an acronym called PETI. PETI. The P is for parenting, the E is for environment, the T is for technology, and the I is for impatience. You see, when it comes to parenting, right? The old way our forefathers were brought up by parenting, it is gradually, you agree with me that it is gradually fading away. The new culture is now trumping the old African culture, whereby morals are now trivialized over so many things. We grow up in an Africa where the modern parents tell their children that, look, you are beautiful, you are strong, and you can have anything you want in life just because you want it. And then we have kids in Africa that have graduated from schools not because they deserved it, but just because the teachers in school didn't want to deal with the parents wahala. And then they grow up into the real world and they discover that they can't just get everything in life just because they want it. They discover that their moms will not be there to defend them, and they discover so many things. When we go to the environment, the African environment where the African youth grows up has a lot of impact on the youth. When we go to technology, we talk about social media. Do we know how many deluge of problems that the youth are facing, especially on social media, which is by no fault of their own, by no fault of their own. They were just dealt a bad hand. Okay, and then we have impatience. You agree with me about this quick money syndrome that is going on within the African youth these days? Every youth in Africa just wants to be successful, and if they are, and recently they are finding that it's not possible in Nigeria or it's not possible in Africa. Everybody just wants to leave Africa. So what am I saying? There is a need to pay attention to the family system. Family is the bedrock of the society. The African youth problem is not a problem of unemployment. It's not a matter of whether African youth are hardworking or not. It is a problem of their mindset. And that is what we do at Pathfinder. We help them develop their mindset and help them with basic life skills that will help them prepare for what's to come. So because no matter what you hand over to the African youth today, if they are not mentally prepared, it will only run them into self-sabotage, and we'll find ourselves back to where we are before.
All right. Well said, James. But this is where I'm gonna I love to play the devil's advocate sometimes. So this is it. I quite agree when you say family systems, and our family systems are broken down. But we do have a popular African adage that says a child belongs to the community, and that is quickly eroding. Because I do know many years ago that when you're born, the streets where you live, everybody parents you right there, and they give you instant parenting. They don't wait for your parents to be back. When you do something wrong, you see street mamas and street papas calling you
Yeah,
out of your
assistant.
BS. Yes, calling you out of your calling you out on your BS and telling you right there and then, and also it also happens on the flip side. It's not only when you've done wrong. Sometimes when you've also done good, right on that same street, people would keep, cheering you on and encouraging you. But in today's world, we seem to be living isolated lives. I do recall when I was still, I think, I just entered the secondary school, and I was coming home with my report card because I had a very glowing, what's it called, report. My position was awesome, excellent. It was proud. I was proud of it, and it was I think, just one. So I kept opening my report card every two seconds as I was walking home, And I recall somebody on the street asked me, I can tell. She says, a woman much older, like my mom's age at that time. She said, "I'm sure you did well." And I said, "Yes." She said, "Keep it on." So I think that is what we lack. All right. So some people said they couldn't hear you. I don't know if this is general, if everybody can't hear you. I don't know if, but I can see that someone is saying that they cannot hear you.
Okay, I think I'll just
Um,
take out my earpiece, maybe if that will help.
okay, so you have a comment here. Someone says, "Powerful words." Thank you, James. Emma Uwagu. Um, thank you, James. Powerful words. Okay, so while I still take more comments, Abel Ukong says, "Positive thoughts, Heidi. Wonderful presentation." Thank you, Abel. Thank you so much. Okay, Glory. Is it Glory? Oh, Gregory, rather. Thank you, Gregory. Gregory says we can hear you clearly. Thank you, Gregory, for giving us that feedback, because we're beginning to wonder. All right, so we've been speaking with James Oluwole. James is an ICT design expert and youth activist with a wealth of experience spanning over 7 years across industries, media, corporate organizations, mental health, NGOs, and health firms. He currently serves as the media director at and Pathfinder and Empowerment Resource Center, a non-governmental organization that creates exceptional and lasting programs that gives access to quality education, alleviates poverty, and prevents gender and sexual abuse in the lives of every African child and woman. thus helping them achieve their full potential in the society. All right, thank you, James, for coming on. You made glowing thing, but I have to come back to my devil advocacy because I have not forgotten that. What say you now, since you've said okay that those who are doing well probably had something pivotal changed their circumstances, but what say you to right now to an African who sits in a suburb, who thinks is without opportunities, without a future? What say you? You might not even have the access to the internet like we do now to be able to, talk about those things. And what do you think that what do you advise such person should do? Since you work with a lot of people like that in your daily work. James, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Something about your audio. Your mic isn't connected, James. Your mic is not connected.
Okay, how about now, please?
Okay, awesome. Now you're connected.
Is this okay now?
Yes, it is. Go on. Go on.
Okay, yes. When we have, which we do, people who are in that circumstance where they have no access to the internet, which is very, very much an integral part for any African youth development, and they are faced with issues like they are hopeless, they don't know, especially those staying in remote areas. It might be very, very difficult. I won't lie, it might be very, very difficult for people like that to find a way to contribute to the society. But as I've said, this is why organizations like PERC, Pathfinder exist. All right. And that is the approach that I feel that the government can help and come in, encouraging organizations like this. Because what we do at PERC is that we locate those people in the remote areas that have no access. We are working on a project currently at a rural area. I won't mention the location, and you will be surprised that majority of those children don't even know the meaning of Android phones. Okay, we've only been with them 3 months so far, and I can tell you there are changes in them. The first step is that they know who they are, identity first. They know who they are and they know where they are going. All right. So for someone who is in that rural area, it is about time for those of us who are well informed, those of us who are well equipped, who has this knowledge, right? It's about time for us to now reach out to them, break the news to them, because you find a lot of potentials there. So this is where I feel the African government can come inside, sponsoring movements like this and reaching out to those people. No hope is lost for anyone under those circumstances.
Okay, well said. So well spoken. So I'll bring in Abraham next. So what I would like to ask you this: what excites you about African Economic Congress?
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so excited about Africa Economic Congress because hardly you seldom find conferences or congresses like this that just puts it out there, that discusses this. I don't know of any other platform like this, right? And the fact that we are able to, the Congress is able to bring together leaders from across boards, and they talk about the critical, and not just talk about. I mean, we have action plans and resolutions coming out from the Congress. So what excites me about this year is mostly the aspect of the team building back better, because it's about time. It has been lingering for too long, too long. And also, if you check the overview of the Africa Economic Congress document, you will see exciting sessions. Technology. I was so excited when I saw technology there, because we cannot ignore that aspect when it comes to African development. And I mean, I'm really hopeful and looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you, James. Thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. So before I bring in the next speaker, Abraham Simon Rufus, I'm going to have us take a deep dive into AEC.
Talk about the different sessions like Greek, education, finance, women, technology.
Can you hold muted for a minute? Okay, I'm back. I was muted for a second. So, Abraham, let's have you on the stage. How are you doing today?
I'm very
Abraham,
well,
can you
man.
hear me? Okay, good to have you here.
Yes, Mike, can hear you. Can you hear me, man? Thank you very
I
much,
can
man.
hear you well. Alrighty,
Okay,
so
man.
let's dive right in. Abraham, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Abraham, and I'm half Nigerian, half Sierra Leone, and I have a very big passion for humanity. Um, I'm a sportsman, and I'm also a web developer, a web manager, and also a social media manager. I've helped a couple of companies like the Pro Foundation, Movement of Life, to build up their pages and also give them active subscribers. So I'm someone that I also help with therapy for people going through depression and frustration, and also a life coach basically. And I always tell people that it's better you just help the people you can actually help at the moment that you are, because tomorrow ain't sure for you. So it's better that you leave trademarks in people's mind and people's hearts. So that's just a short summary about Abraham.
Alrighty, Abraham, good to have you here. I'd like to ask you this question. I know you've had time to talk through, to think through it. What excites you about being African?
What excites me about being African is that black don't crack.
Oh
We
boy,
don't
that
crack.
is good to
Yeah,
know.
I'm a sportman, and in the NFL, blacks we're on top. In the NBA, blacks we're on top. Football, yeah, we have the Messi and we have Ronaldo, but when it comes to look at it, we still go black in it. So black don't crack. We're real good. If you see any top company, you're gonna realize that there's a black man sitting right there. And the black started getting a little more focused when Barack Obama actually ruled USA. So, in other words, racism is the birth of like what actually gave birth to racism is the white feeling like we're way better than them because they know we're way better. They definitely know we're way better. So, I love being African. There ain't no one that's gonna tell me that being African is not good. I love it. We don't crack.
All right, good. So on that same topic of being African, what is that one shared concern that tugs at your heart that you really want to bring to the stage today?
I would like to talk about the dealings of the overdependence of Africa in the West. Like basically, I woke up this morning and the first thing I saw on my Instagram page was that the FG declined 82 billion naira to be borrowed for just mosquito nets. And I asked myself, wait, we're gonna borrow 82 billion naira for just mosquito nets. What do you want to use that amount for the mosquito nets? So I would like to talk about the billions and the overdependence of Africa and the West. It's getting too much. I think it's getting too much. We run short of our annual budget, and then we going to borrowing $200 million from the United States, choking ourselves and making everything look a little bit more clunky to us. So I would love to talk about the overdependence of Africa on the West, man.
Go ahead, go ahead. You have the stage now.
Okay, no, thank you very much, man. Actually, it's actually been noticed that many countries are actually relying on the foreign aid from the West, and it's actually studied that Africa is the only continent where in the world where official aid inflow outstrips private capital inflow by a large margin. And it's actually so sad that even with the foreign aid, we don't really get to achieve what we're borrowing that money for. The foreign aid for the COVID-19 policies, they decided to keep it, and people were suffering, people were lacking beyond. So it's actually so sad that even with the old foreign aid and everything, we still so poor. I'm not gonna lie. Africa, with the old foreign aid that we have, we still poor, but we're not poor, but we're rich. We decide to look away from a lot of things, and we decide to focus on the West. One of the main problems given us in Nigeria right now is borrowing. Everybody asks to borrow, but do you have the capability to pay back? No, we don't. We borrow, we run into debt, and then when we run into debt, the government blames it on the youth. The youth are not working. I got so disheartened this morning when I realized that they said they wanted to borrow 82 billion naira to mosquito net. I'm sorry, what do we want to use 82 billion naira for? For mosquito net? There are a lot of poor people out there. There are a lot of things we can use 82 billion naira for in Nigeria, not mosquito net. And it's definitely because the government are running short of cash. That's why we see tariff on every single thing is increasing. I went through a receipt of things we bought in the market in the supermarket, and I realized that this tariff was not in naira; it was in dollars. And now the government is not satisfied by eating from that. They decide to borrow another money. Heat it. The old citizens, they struggle and they are satisfied, which is totally making me feel like, what are we doing in Africa? What are we actually doing in Africa? Africa is almost 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 8% of the world's natural gas, and 12% of the world's oil reserves. We have one of the best and topmost mineral resources in the whole world. And we are yet to realize that we are one of the richest in the continent. I don't know why we're borrowing. It's for instance for me to know that I can make money, but I decide to go outside to borrow money and still doesn't have a very good revenue to pay back. That is one of the most funny things I've ever seen in Africa. I read on the news that the Sierra Leone president was being paid to deport all his citizens in Germany. I'm sorry, you being paid to deport all your citizens in Germany. Yet you say the citizens are not working when they want to go get greener pastures for themselves. The country is not really helping things. It's not really
All
helping things
right.
because
So let me comment, Rufus, right here, Abraham. Um,
that's not.
I feel like I do hear this a lot when I think the most important challenge that Africans have understanding is the fact that we borrow into a debt system, we borrow into a system that does not allow the reason we borrow really impacts Africa for why it was borrowed. if I actually strung my thoughts right. So, and a whole lot, especially I see that happening with the youth, a whole lot of us feel like we are being cheated because this debt is need to be paid, and the generation that is going to get this debt are not our generation. They are going to leave, they are going to go out of power, they will leave power, and it will have to pick up the pieces, so to speak. And I feel like that is why it's a whole lot of, when we talk about debt, it's not a kumbaya tale for Africans, especially the youth in Africa. So, but what I want us to, switch gears and talk about right now is, if we don't borrow, because sometimes you need to borrow to execute some of the things you need to execute. You don't have the funding, But what solutions do you prefer? What solutions?
Um, I would say we have two solutions that can get us out of this. And the
Okay.
first solution is we go back to agriculture. The second solution is that we go back to our mineral resources. Agriculture is helped us in a lot. We have one of the biggest agricultural farms and everything, and it has been helping us through the years until we decided to stop by and focus more on the crude oil, which is paying us, but not really paying us when it comes to think of it. Now, we we sit on 40% of the world's gold and 90% of its chromium and platinum. That is Africa. We have the largest reserves for cobalt, diamonds, platinum, and uranium in the world. They're all in Africa. I would I don't know if anyone knows this, but the iPhones that we all carry, the materials they're made of, they're from Africa, from Congo. They go sieve it out, they pay them, and still, it's still one of the most poorest countries in the world. If the government of Congo can sit down, can look at the fact that an old company like Apple is actually paying them and it decides to increase things, that country is going to grow. We have to go back to our roots. Like they always say, a tree that forgets its stalk will dry up. So we have to go back to agriculture. We have to go back to mineral resources. They sell diamonds, gold, platinum, chromium expensively. Expensively. If we can be humble enough and go back to where we started from, then definitely we're going to have a change in Africa. We need that change. But our governments are not taking steps. Every single day we hear they are borrowing this money, they're borrowing that, increase the tariff of this, increase the tariff of that. Everything is all getting tight in the country. So I feel we need to go back to agriculture. We have cocoa. We need to go back to it. We need to really go back to agriculture. I feel we
Okay,
need to go back to where we started from.
but we never left agriculture. Agriculture is still the mainstay for a lot of African countries. I think, um, and I agree with you that we do not maximize our resources to generate, end products from them. For example, like you said, the Apple core product is sourced from Congo. What stops us from? And I'm sure that they must be exporting it in its rawest form. We do not. We need to learn to add, added value to everything we do to be able to maximize their monetary value. I think that is where we as a people, we as a continent need to work on. And I hear that sentiment coming from you as well. Right.
That's right.
Okay. So let me see if you have questions from the comment section. Then we would wrap this up. But as I was trying to introduce you, you said something that you're a life coach for people who seem to have gone through depression. Tell me how that works within the context of saying that a whole lot of African nations, so to speak, a whole lot of African people, I should say, have to deal with one challenge or the other. Tell me, how does that fit into what you do on a daily basis as a life coach? What core challenges do you see, or mental situations do you see that are pertinent to Africa?
Okay. One of the key factors I would like to say is there are people that come to me and tell me that they don't want to go to school no more, and I get to ask them why, and I get to realize that depression and frustration comes from school,
Okay.
and a lot of people don't want to go to school anymore, especially African schools. They have a lot of bad teachers, and sometimes instead of them like to motivate these kids, they decide to slash them down with words and slice them up. I feel that sometimes I tell them that in this life, everything is not about education. Education is good, but let's come to look at the richest men worldwide. Not every one of them finished school. They decided to start something of their own, and when they start something of their own, they go back to school. So sometimes I tell them that it's better. When people tend to get frustrated and come meet me about the Nigerian problem, I tell them that it's okay to talk about Nigeria. Everyone will talk about Nigeria. Even when you're outside Nigeria, you're going to talk about Nigeria. But stop talking about Nigeria and let's find a solution to it. Get something starting for yourself. Start a business for yourself. Start working for yourself. Get self-employed. And it's really been working. I see a lot of people striving, a lot of people struggling, and I really got so happy when I heard that they got to legalize forex in Nigeria so people can trade and actually get money. And it's actually been working for people. It's actually been working for people. So when they come to me and they tell me that this is their problem, especially about Africa, I tend to tell them, shift your perspective from where you're looking from and get a bigger view, get the bigger picture. Don't look at, oh, this is what I'm facing. Try to look at this is what I need to fix for myself because Africa is not going to fix itself. You're the one who's going to fix Africa. So before you fix Africa, you have to fix yourself first so you can be equipped enough to fix Africa. So,
I love that. I love that, and I think it's a good way to actually, you know, end this with you. Africa cannot fix itself. We all, have a responsibility to fix Africa. Thank you so much, Abraham. I see a comment here that says, "Welcome, Abraham." Any questions, guys, from those watching live? If you have questions for Abraham, you can leave it in the comments. So, thank you so much, Abraham. Gregory says, "Welcome." And thank you. So Safi, whom I love, who is actually Sarah, stand by because you'll be coming in soon. We've been speaking with Abraham. Abraham is a multi-talented young fellow who is passionate about humanity. He has worked with companies both in and out of Nigeria, helping them build their businesses. He also runs a business of his own. Abraham, in your intro, you mentioned that you are partly Sierra Leone, partly Nigeria. What's the
yes, ma'am.
backstory of that? How is that?
It's actually, my mom is Sierra Leone, my dad is Nigerian.
Okay, good to that's amazing. So how does it feel to be two nationals in Africa? How does it feel though?
It actually feels nice to be honest, because when you don't get a way out of one, you get a way out of the other.
Okay, should I say that you're in Nigeria because you didn't get away in Sierra Leone?
Actually, this is what we're fighting for. Sierra Leone has
Okay.
been in a 12 years war, and it's ruined the Lord. So they're trying to restructure themselves back, and it's actually I see the rapid change. I see how fast they're growing, and I'm like, if we can all go like fast like this in Africa, then definitely I'll be sure that Africa will be good. It will be great, man.
Okay, awesome. Amazing. So, right at the tail end of Abraham's bio, Abraham is passionate and concerned about over dependence of Africa on the West. He believes that Africa should rise and realize who we really are and where we stand as a continent. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you for taking your time to be here tonight, this evening. We appreciate that.
Oh man.
All right. I want to just quickly add here that if you've not yet registered for the African Economic Congress, you can right now. It's just 5 days away, and you can sign up to be part of the private room attendees, which will be happening in Zoom. So go over to aecongress.org/African AEC 2021. I'll say that again. Go over to the website at aecongress.org/AEC 2021. That will lead you to a form. When you fill that form, you'll be able to get all the details, all the private access to join us live during the live show. This is the pre-event show, but the live show is happening, and we are all excited about that. So let us bring in Sarah now. Sarah, are you ready for us? All righty. Sarah, you have the floor. So
good evening. Yes,
so let's start with my general question. Everyone, please stand by. Let's start with my general question. What makes you excited to be African?
Whoa, that's a very big question. What makes me excited to be an African? Well, I'll say the color is one that makes me look different, and the culture actually makes me excited to be African.
Okay. All right. So let's dive right in. Tell me a little bit of yourself in your own words. Who is Sarah Ogidi?
Okay, Ogidi Sarah. I'm Nigerian, and also I'm an Ivorian. My mom is from Cote d'Ivoire. I'm an interior designer, also a real estate consultant, and also a social media manager.
Okay, so what talks at your heart? What is that shared concern, an African challenge that you brought to the stage today?
Okay, today, what brought more concern to me is the sustainable development of Africa, which is a topic I'll be talking about today.
Okay, go right ahead.
Can I continue?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so far so good. A lot of people have talked about sustainable development in Africa. But what is sustainable development? It's the idea that human society must live and also meet their needs without compromising the future generation. Why did I add the concept of development? Sorry. I added the concept of development because it also brings the idea of societal progress and also increase the quality of life in Africa. There are actually three primary objectives. I can also call them determinants of sustainable growth, sustainable development in Africa. Number one, we have the economic growth, we have the environmental protection, and also the social inclusion. My fellow speakers, I noted that most of them chipped in some of what I'm going to talk about, like the economic aspect and also the unemployment aspect. Why did I bring in the economic growth in this sustainable development? Because it brings about building a strong and competitive economy by ensuring that sufficient land of the right type is available in the right place, and also innovation support growth and development in the country. For the environmental protection, it contributes to protecting our natural environment, minimizing wastage of resources. Then for our social inclusion, it talks about supporting strong, vibrant, and healthy communities by providing housing where necessary and actually bringing about local services. So over the past 2 decades, that's 20 years, economic growth has actually come at the expense of environment. Why do I say so? Our natural resources are actually what make up our economic growth in most countries in Africa. We do export most of our natural resources, but it's at the expense of it's also at the expense of the growth of the country, because most countries seem to take out of nature without looking at how these things will be replenished. So outside this, there are actually sectors where these developments are included. We have the urbanization, the agriculture, infrastructure, energy use, water availability, transportation, and all. It's been stated by 2050, the global population will reach 9 billion people. Yes, it will reach 9 billion people, but the challenge still remains. Sustainable development is to move in a way that every single one of these people will actually have a substantial quality of life. If sustainable development is not applied, how will these people move on? And as I said earlier, the three objectives I mentioned have to work hand in hand. If they don't, there will be a lack in one sector and another sector will actually not go well. In Africa, poverty has actually been paramount. Let's see, most Africans are poor. Why do I say that? It's not only being poor financially, but mentally. We look up to the Western world, like my fellow speaker actually said, Mr. Abraham. We mostly depend on the Western world. And it has been stated that current international poverty line is set at $1.09. So if you live under this, you are actually automatically said to be poor. Sustainable development calls for concerted effort towards building an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for the people and planet. In 2001, there are 490 million people in Africa living in extreme poverty. Although this is an increase of just over 9 million from that which was estimated in 2000. I mentioned some sectors in which sustainable development should be applied. We have agriculture. In Africa, agriculture in Africa has a massive social and economic footprint, which we all know. Most African countries actually depend on agriculture, unlike Nigeria that was very, let me say, confident about its economy using agriculture. But when oil came, we forgot about our resource. And now we are actually swinging between one to another. As I earlier said, more than 60% of the population of sub-Saharan African are smallholder farmers, and about 23% of sub-Saharan African GDP comes from agriculture. Yet, Africa's full agricultural potential remains untapped. Agriculture is by far the single most important economic activity in Africa. It provides employment for about 2/3 of the continent. Agriculture in Africa is the least productive in the world. When we see this is a problem, I made my research and I found out that agriculture in Africa is said to be the least productive in the world. Why is that? And looking at the infrastructure, sorry for my, hope you're hearing me. Hello? Hello? Okay, let me go on. Infrastructure development is a key driver for progress across the African continent and critical enabler of productivity and sustainable economic growth. It contributes significantly to human development, poverty reduction, and attainment of the Millennium Development Goals. The most, I would say, the most infrastructure that brings income to Africa are divided into transportation, electricity, and water. More than 500 million people live without electricity. So you can bring the issue of infrastructure being intertwined with energy, which is electricity. We suffer from lack of energy in most African countries. According to recent trends, over 60% of sub-Saharan Africans still lack access to electricity. Moreover, Africa has an average electrification rate of 24%, while the rate in the rest of the developing world lies closer to 40%. After mentioning some of our problems, I would like to bring up some solutions. I won't say solutions because they were research. And I found out that there are sustainable development examples. One of them is the wind, sorry, we have the wind energy, making use of the wind to and converting it to energy like electricity, and also solar, converting the sun to energy. And also we also have green spaces, making use of parks and wetland, lakes, forests in accordance to sustainable development, because most of these things are not used properly. Most of these things are not used properly. And I was asked in our mock, why should the development be inclusive? I will answer that, as I've earlier said, development should be inclusive in sustainability so as to bring social progress and good quality of life. And also, what specific sectors affect Africa with statistics? I have mentioned some of them, and I hope I've been able to touch some of our points. And thank you.
I'm back, guys. Thank you so much for the rally. I was out, for out of transmission, as they say, for some minutes because all my networks just went. I was offline. So I'm back. And Sarah, can you hear me? Please talk to me if you can hear me. That is what we're saying in Africa. Do we really have the
Yes, and
infrastructure? So I would like to add this very quickly. On one of the on one of the topics that will be handled at the live event, it has to do with the fourth industrial estate. Like what's the next realm of production? What's the next fourth industrial? Yeah, first and fourth industrial estate. What's next for development across the world? With what we face here now, I was offline for I think 2 minutes or more, and these incapacities that we show, even in our little things, a company is supposed to provide a service. We're trusting that the service is sound, but when we need to, operate our own service, depending on another company's service, it doesn't deliver. Some of these little glitches and incapacities, are we building ourselves for the future? Because imagine going live and going shut and being shut down by unavailability of network. This is some of the challenges we continue to see across board, and I think it's time we begin to talk to each other, talk to ourselves. We deserve more, we deserve better, we deserve better. So Sarah, sorry for the breaking transmission. We are back to
No
you.
problem, ma'am.
Alrighty. So let's dive right back. You were speaking about so I'm just going to introduce you again, because for those who are just joining, we can see some new faces here. So we're speaking with Sarah Ogidi. Sarah Ogidi is an interior designer and florist. She's a real estate consultant, a social media manager. She has been speaking on sustainable development for Africa. As a real estate consultant, she's involved, of course, in daily sales, and as a social media manager, she has delved into what it takes to advertise brands for the public. She's enthusiastic about the sustainable development of Africa as a country, our economy, our environment, and our social sectors. So, Sarah, back to you now. Um, let's continue
Do
from
I
where you
do I
stopped.
have to restart?
No, you don't have to restart from where you stopped. And before you go, Gregory, I can see
Okay.
you online. Hold on. Gregory, I can see that you are asking a question. Abraham will be back to answer your question, okay? Thank you, Gregory. You have been an awesome advocate, been online. Thank you. I also see who is, okay, let me just quickly appreciate Abel, Ifeanyi, Christine, which is also Gregory. Thank you. Olubami said that's Obam. Thank you also. Thank you guys. So Sarah, over to you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. I will continue from sustainable development calls for concerted efforts towards building an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for people and the planet itself. For sustainable development to be
I can't seem to hear you, Sarah. Now this is what we're talking about. I can't seem to hear you. Your network is slowed. Your network is slowed. Okay, so Abraham, please prepare to comment. Someone asked a question. So I'm going to bring you live into the feed, Abraham.
Can you hear me?
Okay, Sarah, can you reconnect to us, please? Can you reconnect? And while you're doing that, I would like to have Abraham answer this question. Okay, so Gregory Christian says, my question is for Abraham. Are you saying school isn't really important? I think it took this from when you made a comment about people saying, and how you responded to that the top billionaires in the world, they didn't go to school. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Um, I would like to say firstly, like school is important. No one feels school is not important. Before you learn how to do anything, you must learn how to read and write, which is school you're gonna learn that. The school is basically important. But what I'm trying to say is that I've met some kids, school is not just for them. No matter how much you teach the kids, they can read and write, but assimilating higher, they're way too slow. They cannot. I'm telling you, like, I don't want to use the word they're dullard, but they're just like that. But when you come to look at them, they have some hidden talents and skills inside them that if they get signed up, definitely they're gonna become something great in life. The school is good, yes, school it's good, but in the Africa that we are, it's kind of it's a different kind of school that we go to. We go to a school whereby things can just get canceled and everyone has to go back home. We go to a school whereby a lot of things happen and kids have no one to talk to. So school is good, but likewise, I would like to tell parents out there and everything, school is not just for every kid. It's not for every kid. There's some kids that they cannot read, that they cannot assimilate. They can read and write with a pen down, but assimilation higher, no, they cannot do that. So it's better you look at the inner talents of each child, then you realize that definitely, it's real good. I was so happy when I realized that Mark Zuckerberg went back to school due to the promise he made to his mom,
Yeah.
and he took the photo. Kobe Bryant, before he died, he goes back to school. I've had a lot of stories whereby they all go back to school. They all go back to school. So school
Yeah.
is good. If it's not good, they wouldn't go back. But it's good. That's why they have to go back. So school is good, but I would just like to say school is not just for every kid. They find the hidden talent, you get it out of them, then they can proceed from wherever that leads them to. So school is very good, man.
Amazing. I get what you say. You're saying school has to fill a need. If it's not
Yes, ma'am.
filling that need, if it's not meeting that need, let's not
Yes,
make
ma'am.
it like a cliche where it is not
Mm-hmm.
a one size fits all. It is not a one size fits all.
Yes,
Depending
ma'am.
on the child or the person,
Exactly.
let that school meet a need and not just to
Yes,
check box that you've been in school and all
yes,
that.
ma'am.
Okay, I get that. So it seems like Sarah's network is having challenges. She's having challenges reconnecting to us. And then also, Sarah seemed to be our last speaker for today. So that have been really nice to close out with her. And seeing that it's getting darker and darker out there, we may have to just um, do hers some other time. So I want to ask you one last question. I didn't ask this earlier. What
Yes, ma'am.
excites you about African Economic Congress
What excites me about after Economic Congress
and
is
the
that
event? Yes, the forthcoming event.
I like a group of people that come together to speak for people that cannot speak. I like people that come
Okay.
together to find a solution for people that doesn't have the ideas to find a solution. It's
Okay.
not everyone that
Right.
got the voice to speak. It's not everyone that got the ideas. But I like the way African Economic Congress came together to form a body to fight for Africa, to speak for Africa. They're more about the growth of Africa. There no one, a boat cannot paddle itself. Someone has to paddle that boat.
Absolutely.
So I like the way Africa Economic Congress decided to be the one to paddle that boat and lead Africa to the future where we're gonna find our own dry land and we're gonna be like very good Africans. I'm very happy. I'm totally impressed. I've never really seen such, but like I give my love to humanity. I love Africa. I love the people in it, and I love people that stand up and fight for Africa and talk for Africa. So yeah, that's what I love about Africa.
Amazing.
AEC, man.
That's good to know. So Sarah, you join us right quick, but so stand by. But before then, I want to bring you in to ask you what are you looking forward to the African Economic Congress? What are you looking forward to?
Okay, I look forward to seeing people being fully vaccinated. Yes, people should take the COVID-19 vaccine because we have this notion that the international bodies are trying to reduce the population of the African population. So they use the COVID-19, maybe poisonous substances inside the COVID-19 vaccine to reduce the population of Africa. So, so I look forward to the government creating an awareness where people are well informed. They have the accurate knowledge about the COVID-19 vaccine and they get vaccinated. In that way, I think it will go a long way to curb the COVID-19 effect and then normalize our society.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Abraham, also. So, Sarah, you have the floor now. We're talking about sustainability before we had network issues on your end as well. It's been crazy, maybe because it's getting later, darker and darker. Maybe more people are joining the network. So we need to wrap up quickly. Sarah. So tell me, how do you wrap up sustainability? Your topic. I would like you to wrap up with solutions. Let's talk solutions. Okay, Sarah, your mic is muted. Can you unmute? Okay, good. Now, like if you
Okay,
had
I've
my
done that. Sorry.
all right, let's have you. How do you wrap up? What solutions do you prefer?
Okay. So sorry, I'm sitting on the floor right now because of the network issue.
It's good.
So, examples of sustainability development. I saw some solutions online where they make use of wind energy because I found that most African countries do have electricity. So making use of wind energy, making use of what we have to get what we want. While we have the wind, we make use of it to generate electricity. As it has been recorded that between 500 and 900 AD, they made use of this wind energy back in windmill in Persia. So, and also we have solar energy. And also the last one on my list was green spaces. Green spaces such as parks, wetland, lakes, forests, or other ecosystems are fundamental to the sustainability developed urban areas. These areas are essential for cooling cities, which, while trees produce oxygen and green gases, that's the greenhouse, I've forgotten the term, the greenhouse, uh, so sorry, I've
Okay,
forgotten
it's
the
all
term,
right.
but
So
while we make,
in
while,
essence, let me quickly come in because your line is glitching, so I want to be sure we understand you. So are you saying to build sustainability, we need to invest in energy and invest more um, in green energy that's to reduce carbon footprint? Is that what you're saying? Are you talking about reducing green gases emission? Is that what
exactly,
you're saying?
yes, to reduce the use of gas, which making use of charcoal, which actually leads to air pollution and actually makes and also helping it to bring about employment, making use of what we have to get what we want really
Okay.
to more employment of people, especially the
Opportunities.
poor.
Okay. All right, Safi, because your
And
network is, we're
reducing
having,
reduction of poverty in Africa
Safi, we're having issues with understanding your line of thoughts.
is
We're having issues understanding Safi's line of thoughts. So for that reason, I'm going to wrap it up here. Hopefully we can have Safi again to really give us more insight into what she's sharing. It keeps breaking and we are not able to understand. My apologies, Safi. We've been speaking with Sarah Ogidi, and Sarah has been sharing on sustainable development for Africa. So the network has been pretty bad, maybe because of the hour. So I am going to crave Sarah's indulgence to please probably have us, once again come live at an earlier time so that we can talk about what she has to say. and she has some very salient points and valid points to help that she has marshaled to help Africa build sustainability. So on this very note, I want to say thank you to all of you wonderful speakers, all of you that joined us, for making your time, for even standing. You've been live with me for we are going now for 2 hours and more. Thank you to Heidi. You are a wonderful person. Thank you, Abraham. You are such a backbone to rely on. Thank you, Sarah. Also, despite your network, you still keep fighting and coming in. And I appreciate that never say die attitude. We also had Josh earlier. We had Chioma. We also had James Oluwole. And I want to say a very big thank you to all of them. But before we wrap up, a quick overview as to the African Economic Congress. This is the pre-event show, but what we're talking about is the main show. We are inviting all of you all to join the African Economic Congress live on stage. It's actually a virtual conference, so you don't need to commute. You can join from the comfort of your home or office, online via Zoom, or you can also join by watching live on African Independent Television, AIT. African Independent Television can be found on GoTV and also on DSTV. So we are celebrating our keynote speaker, Dr. John Dramani Mahama. He is our chief keynote speaker, and we would like to take time out to celebrate him and say thank you, sir, for offering to join us this year. We want to say thank you for being part of African Economic Congress. So next is, we also want to say thank you to the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele. Thank you for agreeing to join us live on stage. So to wrap up, I would say this: Africa is our own to tweak or to invest in or to fix. Whatever we do, whatever we decide to do, it's within our purview to make it work. So on that note, before I sign out, I would like you all to, if you're not yet registered, go right to the website at aecongress.org/AEC2021 to sign up and be part of African Economic Congress. Thank you, every single one of you, for joining us. For those who joined us across YouTube and Facebook, thank you, Gregory. Thank you, Abel. So many of you. I can begin to mention all of your names. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see you at the back end of our stream. So guys, thank you. See you soon. See you soon.
Talk about the different sessions like Greek education, finance, women, technology.
The outbreak of COVID-19 changed the world and unsettled our economy. As we adapt to this unprecedented reality and start the journey towards recovery, the African Economic Congress invites you to a televised and virtual event that will bring together innovative leaders from all sectors of the African economy. It will be a platform where sustainable solutions that enhance the African economy will be discussed. Themed, Accelerate Africa, Building Back Better. Date, November 1 to 3rd, 2021. For sponsorship or further inquiries, contact us at events@aecongress.org or call us at +234 906 691 2600 or +234 907 370 3649. To attend, register at www.aecongress.org. Join us.